India who were a part of an immersive tradition of dance. By transition, I mean movement, passage, or change of dance from one stage to another, a movement development or an evolution restricted to their homes. They had no income, and so the men who were supportive of these women using those musical instruments that you see, the supporting musicians, they took over teaching dance because now it had to come out of the home of these women. The male teacher, who was a musician, who's turned into a dance teacher now, is just sitting in one place and teaching anybody who wants to learn. He does not demonstrate this dance, so there is no example for these new women who are learning this dance form to imitate from. So they had to develop their own aesthetic. They had to understand from his words how their body is supposed to move. So you see the male teacher just sitting there and reciting syllables, and the lady is dancing. So he controls the speed and the rhythm, but how she moves her body is entirely her decision. So now this becomes a tradition. It's not an immersive tradition, but it's not an aesthetic tradition either. The aesthetic tradition generously borrows from the immersive tradition, but then the aesthetic tradition starts to think and generate more ideas. Immersive tradition still follows the temple structure of performing, where one dancer performs to the right first and then performs to the left. Even when they brought this tradition to the proscenium stage, still the same way of performing continues. Second generation learners start questioning this. They said, when it's a frontal presentation, why do we need to look at the left and right and center and do the same thing 3 times over?
Natyakhyam panchamam vedam saitihasam karomyam. That was from the Natya Shastra.
In the immersive tradition, the dance still continued from the male teacher to the female teacher to the next generation to the next generation. But in the aesthetic tradition, in independent India, there was also a tremendous need for a national image of culture at that point. And the word classical was borrowed from the West. And in the Western tradition, when we say classical, it had to be based on a text. So what did the aesthetic generation of teachers do? They went back to the theatric text of Natya Shastra, and then looked at later texts that spoke about dance traditions in a big way. And they started adding practices from these texts, which never happened in the immersive tradition. Nobody had ever read the Natya Shastra. They all borrowed generously from sculptures, paintings, literatures, hearty discussions with each other, and emulating. In the immersive tradition, there was inherited choreography. This is what happens in the immersive tradition. So I have also taken the liberty of it not being a solo performance, and I've added more students to my group, and I've divided the choreography between the male student and the female students. So it's like a question-answer session. Aesthetic tradition now has come to a point where they've given up on the immersive tradition completely. They don't inherit pieces. They don't use inherit pieces. They don't inherit immersive pieces that are performed in the temple anymore.